Joining me now, New South Wales Deputy Premier John Barilaro. John, great to see you tonight. We're going to have a different Christmas to what we probably thought we would be 3 months ago, at least 6 months ago. It's looking a lot better at the moment.
Yeah, look, thanks for having me tonight. Absolutely. I tell you what, we were robbed of a Christmas last year because of bushfires. I was, absolutely committed that we weren't going to be robbed of a Christmas because of COVID. And today's announcement about being able to have up to 50 people in your home, especially if you've got an outdoor area, it really does mean families, friends can come together, celebrate, what has been a tough year and look forward to 2021 and, public gatherings, again, 50 people, bringing family and friends together for picnics and getting out and about. And more importantly, in the budget this year, there was $500 million set aside to get people to get out and about, go to their cafes and visit their hospitality venues. And to be able to capture that, you really needed to open up those venues. And today's announcement where, small bars up to 200 square metres or cafes, restaurants up to 200 square metres now can have the one person per 2 square metre really means, I think, this Christmas, a lot of New South Wales citizens will just take the advantage, get out, celebrate and feel hopefully that 2021 is going to be better.
Well, John, it has been a tough year, particularly for the bush and country regions and also for those in Queensland who have been doing it tough around tourism. Now, there's been no love lost between your Premier, Gladys Berejiklian, and Queensland Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk. They've been at each other for the last few months. What did you make of Anastasia Palaszczuk's comments against Gladys Berejiklian, particularly in the wake of, the lack of medical advice, if you like, as to why the borders were closed in Queensland?
Yeah, look, I've really struggled with the Premier of Queensland in a sense that right throughout this whole period, leading into the Queensland election and since then, it's like we're playing populist politics and not looking to good policy. And yes, you can hide behind advice, but, you're probably asking for the wrong advice or the advice that backs your argument. And, this morning I was at a press conference with the Premier of New South Wales with Gladys, and Gladys was humble, respectful of the things that she had to say about the Premier of Queensland and was relieved. And she actually even touched on that. She felt very emotional hearing the phone call from Premier Palaszczuk that the borders will open on the 1st of December. And that's, I think, is the vast difference between my Premier and that's Gladys versus the Premier of Queensland. And yeah, we may have lost the state of origin, but when it comes to diplomacy, when it comes to leadership and when it comes to a Premier that has stood tall in the midst of crisis after crisis, I'll back Gladys in every day. But look, at the end of the day, let's stop the point scoring now. And the borders are opening. The Victorian border opened yesterday. Now we've got the Queensland border open. That's just good news for families, reuniting communities on those borders, about service delivery, for businesses. But as a nation, we've said from the outset from COVID that we're all in this together. I think come 1 December, it's going to be the first time that we feel that we are all in this together.
Well, Deputy Premier, you're also quite bullish about the gas industry in New South Wales. Of course, the $3.6 billion Santos project, which you announced yesterday. I mean, how important is gas to the ongoing economic sustainability of New South Wales?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know we've been debating this electricity bill in the Parliament this evening. It's passed, it's gone through, and it's copped a lot of criticism. But, credit to Matt Keane. Yes, he's focused on renewables, and we know that renewables will be a big part of the energy strategy and the energy grid of this nation going in the future. But in the meantime, we need to see some transition, and that transition will come from storage. Hydro will be a big part of that, but gas will play a big and an important role. The Santos gas project, which we've backed in and we've approved, and it was great to see the federal government's given its approval overnight, which is fantastic and great news. I was in Narrabri yesterday. The town is buzzing, the region is buzzing. We have an opportunity there to actually rebuild an economy, diversify a regional economy and look at those gas or energy-heavy intensive industries moving to places like Narrabri, getting a better price for their energy from the gas well. And that's all great news for the regions. It diversifies, it future-proofs us from downturns in agriculture, drought, mining downturn. But gas is part of the landscape, and I put out that my statement of intent, and later or early next year I'll come back with a proper gas strategy, a more broader strategy as the resource minister, how gas will play an important role in building generation, producing gas for this state, so we're We're no longer relying on what comes out of other states and the pipelines, and gas is a big part of it. Let's not hide from it. Let's not pretend. It is the transition resource that I believe will set us up and the right approach. So you'll never hear me talk down the gas sector and the gas industry, but later next year I'll put out a proper strategy, a future of gas in this state, which will clearly identify where we believe there's opportunities and where we won't be looking for CSG. And it's about giving assurance to the community that it's all done based on the science, the engineering solutions that I believe mitigates any of the risks involved with CSG.
John, you mentioned drought. How's New South Wales looking at the moment? Because we know, and you mentioned the bushfires as well, that drought obviously contributed quite significantly to last year's terrible bushfire season. Where is New South Wales at the moment when it comes to drought?
Look, I was in Temora again on Monday. We've gone from famine to feast in return. So last year, you just got to imagine this. 12 months ago, we had the worst year in relation to water and drought and rainfall, the worst year for agriculture and grains, etc., and farming in recorded history. 12 months on, off the back of which has been average rainfall, in some areas above average rainfall, we're now having the best season, highest yields that we've seen in recorded history, and we're seeing confidence in regional rural New South Wales. A number of years ago, we had the Bush Summit in Dubbo, really worried about the region's its growth and its future and prosperity, really concerned about it. But the way we are now going, the regions have come out of drought. Yes, we're always sensitive that we could go into drought quickly, but we're out of drought. There's a rebound in agriculture. There's a confidence in regional rural New South Wales. And even though we had a Bush Summit about the future of the regions, I think that's turned around in 12 months. The way we're going, probably in the next 3 to 4 years, we'll have a Sydney Summit to deal with the decline in Sydney, because the regions, there's a renaissance off the back of COVID. People are feeling confident. We're feeling confident, and I think it's a new era, a new time for the regions. And once again, this nation, which was built, the economy was built off the back of the sheep, is going to come off the back of agriculture. And if we get the trade arrangements right with China and make sure those markets, export markets, remain open, I tell you what, agriculture will be what will get us into recovery mode from what is an economic crisis that we're facing as a nation.
You're right, John. It is a phenomenon. We're seeing more and more of the city slickers heading into the bush and into the regions. We see it on this show every night. John Barilaro, always great to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight.
My pleasure. Thank you.